This is not a prosecution. This is a persecution. We have a two-tier justice system in this country. And if a former president can be targeted by a woke and corrupt judge, then you can be targeted as well. Over to the leader of the House Freedom Caucus, my friend Bob Good. So much.
And I want all of the news to start asking the question, what is the crime? Because everyone in this court has not been informed.
I mean, is it just me, or does this perfectly sum up Lauren Boebert's political career? Abandoned by her peers, screaming into the ether, with nothing to show, no accomplishments, no bills passed, just a possible signature on a Beetlejuice program.
Just another con game by the Democrats, calling something one thing and saying
time
another.
Has expired.
This is making the IRS with
Gentlewoman's
armed
time
agents
has expired.
The Pentagon, the State Department,
gentlewoman is
the
no
FBI.
longer recognized. The gentleman from Missouri reserves the
As Trump called on the bench Republicans to come into New York to speak on his behalf, those on the other side of the political spectrum, Democrats, well, they were in Washington, you know, where they're paid to be, actually legislating.
Well, it's nice to see that some of my colleagues on the other side could make it today. I don't know if that means that there weren't enough seats in the courtroom in New York, but I know that the Oversight Committee canceled a hearing that was supposed to happen right now on this matter so that they could be at the president's trial. I know some members will miss this vote because they want to be at the president's trial, and I don't think that anything could animate the phrase "do nothing Congress" more than missing votes and canceling hearings to go up and be a spectator at your cult leader's trial. That is the definition of do nothing Congress.
That's right. On the same day that Republicans used taxpayer dollars to bend the knee to their cult leader, the Biden administration took a critical step in reclassifying marijuana as a lower risk drug, inching ever closer to removing it under the federal category which lists it as more dangerous than fentanyl.
This is monumental. Today, my administration took a major step to reclassify marijuana from a Schedule I drug to a Schedule III drug. It's an important move toward reversing long-standing inequities. Today's announcement builds on the work we've already done to pardon a record number of federal offenses for simple possession of marijuana. And it adds to the action we've taken to lift barriers to housing, employment, small business loans, and so much more for tens of thousands of Americans. Look, folks, no one should be in jail merely for using or possessing marijuana, period. Far too many lives have been upended because of failed approach to marijuana, and I'm committed to righting those wrongs. You have my word on it.
Meanwhile, the Republican colleagues, they stood on the other side of a press rotunda outside Trump's court proceedings, essentially being formally dressed cheerleaders for the thrice-married sycophant currently facing trial over allegedly paying hush money to an adult film star as a means to interfere with an election. You know, where your taxpayer dollars are supposed to go.
His daughter's making money, raising money for Democrats, and all of the fundraising emails and all the fundraising things are about this trial that his daughter is using. He won't recuse himself. This is a travesty of justice.
But the judge's daughter herself is also fundraising off this for people like Adam Schiff and the Biden administration. So
the real bookkeeping that we need accounting of is Judge Merchan's own family member collecting millions of dollars as a Democratic operative, using the existence of this trial as a fundraising ploy for Democrats. This is unconscionable.
And meanwhile, among the atrocities here, the judge's own daughter is making millions of dollars doing online fundraising for Democrats.
The judge inside, his daughter is making millions of dollars running against Donald Trump, raising money for Donald Trump's political opponents.
And I know what you're thinking, how shameless can one be to do this? Well, amidst the group was Lauren Boebert, and shameless, well, if the shoe fits. But in a disastrous moment after her colleagues had hogged the microphone to say many words while simultaneously saying nothing at all, Boebert tried to get her 2 cents in, but she was left abandoned by her peers, screaming with nobody backing her up as hecklers decided to chant Beetlejuice.
Over to the leader of the House Freedom Caucus, my friend Bob Good.
Thank you, Congressman Gage. Thank you so much.
And I want all of the news to start asking the question, what is the crime? Because everyone in this court has not been informed of what the crime is. The defendant does not know the crime that was committed.
But at the very least, this means that Lauren Boebert proved that she actually knows her way to a courthouse, considering the fact that her son was recently in court merely 7 days ago and she was a no-show. But I know what you're thinking, priorities, right? But anyway, if you happen to scroll down past a couple hilarious comments on her post celebrating the fact that she was there, you'll see the real reason why she's there. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
I'd like to ask her just a really simple question, and that is, could you give the definition of carpetbagger to me?
Republican Congressman Lauren Boebert is once again taking credit for federal funding for Colorado projects that Boebert actually voted against. Boebert's office sent out a news release bragging about her role in securing funding for projects like highway safety improvements and water reservoir construction in southern Colorado. Boebert requested that funding through the earmark process, which is when members of Congress add local projects to bigger spending bills. In this case, Boebert's earmarks were part of the government spending bill that passed in early March. Boebert is one of 40 Republicans who obtained earmarks and then voted against the bill. She was out calling it, quote, swamp omnibus bill, and said that it funded Democratic priorities.
That's right, they claim to be there using taxpayer money to fight for the American people, you know, because if this could happen to a billionaire who paid hush money to an adult film star while his wife was allegedly at home with their kid, it could happen to you if you were a billionaire who paid hush money to an adult film star while your wife was at home with your kid. But in reality, it is just another power grab, a fundraising tactic. And more importantly than anything, it's a photo op.
You know, there's that old phrase that comes from Parliament, backbencher, meaning someone who's, you know, not a relevant player in the Parliament or in the Congress, a backbencher. Most of those faces that you just saw in that photograph were, to their shock, relegated to literally the back bench of the courtroom because there wasn't enough space in the first two rows where the Secret Service occupy a couple of seats and the Eric Trump frequently occupies a seat and other Trump supporters occupy some seats. And so only a couple of them got into that front row space. Matt Gaetz is one of them who got into the front row space. But and by the way, a good 6 or 7 of them I couldn't recognize without their congressional pins on their lapels. And so they didn't, I think, get the treatment inside the courtroom that they were hoping for. But the whole game for them was what they were going to say to the microphones outside of the courtroom.
Which, again, as we've been told by the cult leader himself, sometimes Boebert can push the boundaries on that.
Come back now to some new CNN reporting. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, the firebrand representing Colorado's 3rd congressional district, is now facing a tough race in November, thanks to a series of personal controversies, also an undersell, an unexpected retirement, and a new redistricting map. CNN Capitol Hill reporter Melanie Zanona is here. She joins our panel. Mel, great to have you. This is a rich topic. Walk us through why Lauren Boebert, who has become, you know, one of these sort of MAGA faces, although not entirely. I mean, some of this is just personal controversy. It's not even around her politics necessarily. Why she potentially may not be returning to Congress.
She definitely is in the fight of her political life right now. Remember, she almost lost to a Democrat last cycle. So she has opted to run in a new district, which is more conservative leaning. But she has still got to prevail in a primary. And this is a very rural district made up with ranchers and farmers who care about agriculture policy. And she has been facing really pointed questions about her personal behavior and her conduct. But there are signs that she has not changed or tried to tone down her behavior, at least behind closed doors. I'm told that she attended a December gala in New York City. It was a Republican event. Donald Trump was headlining. And that the server who was coming to bring alcohol refused to bring her any more alcohol because they thought that she was overserved. She also was trying to take pictures with Donald Trump, and eventually Donald Trump's security detail stepped in and asked her to stop doing that, according to witnesses who witnessed it and that I spoke to. Now, Donald Trump still did endorse her, so clearly he wasn't maybe that bothered by this incident. But a Trump endorsement alone is not going to be enough to put her over the finish line. So she is facing a very tough challenge in that June primary.
So Mel, just to be clear, basically, she went to a fundraiser in New York City with Donald Trump and got so drunk they had to cut her off, and then tried to take repeated pictures with Trump, and then they had to tell her, hey lady, like, tone it down.
Yeah, according to the witnesses, this is how it went down. And remind viewers here that this came a few months after that she got in trouble and had to apologize for her conduct at a Denver theater where she was watching a musical performance of Beetlejuice. And, she got kicked out for vaping and being loud, and there's security footage of it. And so this is just an example.
It was much more than vaping and being loud, although I appreciate your attempt to keep this a family program.
Morning.
I mean, here's the thing. If the biggest egomaniac in the world, Donald Trump, is getting sick of your efforts to try to suck up to him, just think how insufferable you have to be. But that is indicative of the representative from Colorado. I mean, come on, 4th District. Surely you will not make the same mistake as the 3rd.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.